Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And today we are getting out our tea and we're spilling. It's going to be exciting. We are finally doing, it's much requested. We're doing our worst of Hallmark podcast ranking. It's one that I've struggled with the idea of doing it. We're finally doing it. And I am Focus Rachel Wagner. Terry's here.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's pretty good.
You ready for this?
I'm ready for this. A disclaimer before we start. I'm pretty sure people are going to love some of these movies, but
Yes.
it's okay to love a movie and to not like a movie.
Yes.
So
And let's
it's
just
all good
also
fun.
say, like, part of the reason why I've been hesitant to do this is because we try to keep it more on the positive side.
Yeah,
And all of these people made something. They made a movie. Neither Terry or I have ever made a movie. So they're one up on us going into it.
absolutely.
So they did it, and congratulations. It's just our opinions. It's really, and we want to hear your opinions, and we'll have some of the picks from our patrons coming up. And so if you want to be part of the discussion, part of making our short list, and then join the Patreon, because we involve them every week when we do these ranking episodes. We involve the patrons, and like I said, this is all in fun. Everybody has opinions, and somebody probably loves all of these movies that I have on my list.
Yep.
Yep.
Same.
So we decided, and I have to admit, kind of last minute, we decided we are going to split it up, and we're going to do two episodes, one with the non-Christmas Hallmark movies, and then one for the festive holiday films. Yeah, I had a lot more I had a lot more initially non-Christmas bad movies than Christmas. Would you agree?
Yeah. Well, I had the opposite. After looking at it, I was like, oh, I have a bit more
Oh,
Christmas movies,
Christmas.
and I'm
Yeah.
usually very forgiving on the Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think
you
there's
know,
probably partly there's just so many
there's just so
that
many.
that
It's
it's
like,
hard.
yeah, you're gonna run into a couple not great because they're just turning them out.
Mm-hmm.
So
What would you say in general makes for a really good Hallmark movie in your eyes, and why did these ones not work in general?
it has a lot to do, I think, with certain elements of the script.
Yeah.
If it flows well,
Mm-hmm.
um, chemistry is really important. And because I think you can have a movie that doesn't look that great, but the chemistry and the acting really sell it. And you can even have a trash script, but
Yeah.
it because there are some actors that can just deliver anything. And so I really think it is more for me. It's like the chemistry and the acting,
Yeah.
because if you are doing the deer in headlights acting, it's going to be lost, and
Yeah. And there are certain tropes that are really tough to pull off for me.
yes.
The
Hmm.
bridezilla, the if they try to do like a love triangle with there's like another love interest,
Oh,
like a
yeah.
catty ex-girlfriend kind of thing. That's
I don't, yeah,
usually
I don't
doesn't
think
work
they're
for
quite,
me.
yeah, because they're not quite successful because they won't go there in love
Yeah,
triangles, I think, to make it, you
campy,
know,
make it fun.
can't be, emotional cheating. Like you have a fiance
Yeah,
or a boyfriend, and all of a sudden you're interested in
yeah,
somebody else is like not great either.
yeah. And when it's just flat out boring,
Oh, yeah.
that it's like a party planning movie, or the lead character ends up being really unlikable or really stupid. It's hard
Hmm.
sometimes.
Yeah,
So
it is hard. Yeah.
it covers
Yeah,
most.
sometimes you can have all the right elements and it's just boring to you.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's hard to get through. Yeah.
yeah. All right, well, let's dive in to this list. And I have to admit, a few of these I haven't seen in a while, so I'm going off of my memory of how much I disliked them. So sorry. I wasn't about to rewatch them. But my number 12 uh is one called Be My Valentine. From 2013, we have William Baldwin who should never have been in a Hallmark movie, I don't think. And Natalie Brown, and it they have like zero chemistry. Um, it's just he's like a firefighter, and I mean, it's as basic as it gets. Um, and I don't know. I just really
I
just didn't
don't
like
think
this
I
pairing.
have. I don't think I've watched this movie because I have no memory of it. I think I'm familiar with it. The only William Baldwin like Hallmark movie that I can remember, because he's done more than one,
Hmm.
is the one where he and his ex get back together through their love of photography. I can't remember the name of that one. That's a Valentine's Day movie. I thought that one was really sweet. But
While you
other
were
than that, I have no
dating,
memory. Huh? Yes, I think that might be it. Yeah, while you were
yeah, that
dating.
one's better.
That yeah, I thought that one was a sweet, but I can't remember anything else that he's done for
This
Hallmark.
movie is
So
completely generic.
it's the early days of Hallmark. I mean, like,
Yeah, 2013.
yeah, so
And yeah, they like go on some dates, and then her ex shows up and proposes, tries to get her back.
oh boy,
And it's
not
bad.
great.
It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
And just no chemistry. I'm glad that we don't have William Baldwin in these movies anymore. Good choice. Sorry, William.
I don't think they found a good fit for him, though.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. All right, what's your number 12?
And I'm coming in hot potentially,
Yeah.
but I'm going to 2019, the very first Ruby hearing mystery,
Uh-huh.
Silent Witness.
Yeah.
I don't know how this movie got two sequels because it's trash. I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
It looks terrible. The acting is bad. That red wig is
Yeah, the red
bad.
wig. I was
And you
glad that
could
they
tell
moved away from that red wig.
they did. They moved away, and you could tell all the updates in the two sequels that it got, how they fixed everything that was wrong with it.
Didn't that one
Uh,
have like the baker was the
yes.
murder?
Oh, that's another thing. It's like the minute that character pops on screen, and people hate
Yeah.
me because I tend to listen, I've watched tons of Columbo,
Yeah.
Murder She Wrote. I've read all Agatha Christie. I can spot, sometimes in these mystery movies, the minute a person walks in,
Yeah.
you know who
It
it is.
just
And
it
Hallmark
just
has
felt,
a,
yeah,
yeah,
that one was pretty bad. I mean, it just felt
Hallmark has
like
a,
it's such an extreme thing. I mean, it's always an extreme thing for someone to murder someone, but
yeah,
like for the motive was so weak for this,
yeah, for like baking or
baker.
whatever. Yeah, but here's the thing too, because Hallmark is a prime. They do this a lot in their mystery movies. The person who
Mhm.
has the least amount of screen time ends up being
Yeah.
the murderer.
Hmm.
And it's not great when they do that.
Well, it's
And it's
also
kind of
when
the
they're introduced. If they're introduced real
exactly.
early, then they're probably not the murderer.
Right.
They're
And
probably a
it's
red
like,
herring.
oh, there's just nothing. It looks terrible too. This
Yeah.
movie does not look good. I'm sorry it's not acted well. And I know that um people love the stars. I mean, it
Uh-huh.
stars Taylor Cole and Stephen Huszar, and I don't think
Hmm.
they give good performances in this movie.
Yeah.
I will say the next two movies in the series are better.
Yeah.
Um, and they ditched that. That wig is guilty of crimes all by itself.
Yeah, it was bad.
So,
I mean, I'd
mm.
say if I was going, I do have one mystery on the list, but if I was going to just pick a franchise, for me at least, the Chronicle Mysteries, I thought they were really bad. And
Oh,
maybe I'm just
yeah.
too close to it being a podcaster, the way they integrated it, that I'm like, that's not how podcasts work. That's not how like they're like a scripted podcast like Serial, which it was trying to be, is scripted. Like it's not, you're not like
Right.
taking calls. Like I'm like, what?
It's true. It was
And
like a radio show. Not even
yeah,
that,
it
you know.
it was just like some of the side characters were fun, but I just remember the one where they have the underground olive oil
Oh my gosh.
thing,
Because it's really not
because they
about
couldn't have
podcasting,
drugs
it's
or
a
something,
newspaper.
because it's
Right.
Hallmark. They gotta have the
Oh,
underground olive oil syndicate.
Yeah. And it's not podcasting, it's more of a newspaper
Yeah,
story.
yeah. She's just like a
I did think
reporter.
about, yeah, I did think about including one of those movies because that's not a mystery series that I liked. I really
Yeah,
think
they
the
were
last one that they
disappointing.
did was not great. And, but I was like, they're well made. And the last one was made during COVID, like the restrictions. So, I'm going to give that somewhat of a pass. But, you know, people love them. I
Yeah.
don't know. I could have put the whole entire Murder She Baked mystery here and had like people showing up at my house with torches, but I decided not to because people love that series, and I'm like, oh, you know, it'd be funny. I just open
Yeah.
the door and there's people with torches. Like, how dare you? And like, hold on, let me take a picture. I got to put this on Instagram, and then I'm gonna run for my life.
All right. So all right. So let's see. So my number 11 is one from this year, so I don't know if it's gonna have a lot of fans. But it is Made for Each Other. I just really
Oh
disliked this movie, and I
no,
was so disappointed because it sounded really fun, and I was excited for the idea. I felt like the casting was right on. To Aaron O'Connell's just seems like the perfect casting for the ideal
right?
man. But I just thought that she was the worst. I really disliked her character. The like she was a terrible teacher. She like takes over and doesn't even let him make his own statue, his dog statue,
Yeah,
and she is really unsupportive. And like I didn't understand
exactly.
why either of these guys would be interested in her at all. Like aside from her being beautiful, like I thought she was very unlikable, and I really hated the ending. He gives up
Mhm.
his chance at this rare comic,
Exactly.
thing in order for
He could
her to
have,
go to her thing,
right.
which like why does she even like the ending would have been so much better if she had gone to him and supported him
Exactly. Because
because she
she
doesn't
doesn't
need to be
show
there.
anything.
It's art. Like, why does she need to be there at her thing?
And
Not at
she's
all.
accepting an award, like, oh,
Yeah.
biggie. I
Yeah.
mean, not that getting award isn't wrong and stuff, but she could have made it work. So
Yeah,
I
it
think
would have
this
been way
movie,
better. And so then he gives up his thing only to be
yeah.
there when Clay proposes. And you're just like, what? This is supposed to be romantic? It wasn't romantic at all.
No,
And it
it's
wasn't
not.
funny. And the mom was absolutely terrible. And,
Oh my gosh.
and
What a, yeah.
like I understand that they're trying to do that kind of like overbearing Jewish mother, like the Yenta kind of trope, that you see
Yes.
in like Woody Allen movies and stuff. But
Yeah.
it just because everything else was so unpleasant and that it just made me I couldn't have fun with it because it was just the whole thing was so annoying. And I just really hated it so much.
I I agree. Like, I don't hate it as much because I actually think the first 20 minutes are solid.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, look, her statue came to life. And I thought it was just so much fun at that point. And I
Hmm.
thought oh my God, I'm trying to say her name. I can't come out. Ilana. Oh my God, Douglas. I can't believe
Oh, Ilana, yeah, it's the aunt or
I'm
whatever.
sorry. I got tongue twisted on that. I apologize on the name. It happens sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
But I
Ilana
thought
Doug.
she was like, yes,
Hmm.
Ilana Douglas. That's it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think she was fun. And
Hmm.
then when the movie went into the triangle of sorts,
Like
I
it
was like,
makes
this is
no
no longer
sense.
fun. It no longer fun.
Yeah, her
Okay,
mom
how is
gives
he
him
still
a
human after this?
well, and her mom
Is
gives
did
him
he
an
come to life
engagement
just
ring that made
right?
no sense. Why would you do that? You literally don't know this person. It's been
And then
and
she didn't want him to become a chef either. Like
yeah.
become a lawyer or whatever when he obviously loved food. I don't understand how he continues to live
Well,
once the
yeah,
necklace is off. Does he
and
never take it off?
what would have been funny because supposedly he got a perfect score on the LSATs. It would have been
Right.
funny
Well, he's the
if he
perfect
like
man.
didn't even know what a lawyer meant, being a lawyer meant. Like
He technically didn't know any of that. He Googled it and he goes, oh,
yeah,
okay. I mean, it doesn't all work. Like, how does he continue to live afterwards? I did find him being a
yeah,
model. Some of the model jokes kind
yeah.
of
That
funny.
could have
Oh, I'm
been
just
funny.
modeling. yeah, I'm just modeling socks or whatever, and the innuendo that all he's wearing is socks. And I thought that was very funny in that part. But
Yeah.
I don't understand the basics of how this creation can continue on.
No. And
And
them
some of
having
that,
him and David, I think was the name, them
yeah.
roommates was just
And then becoming
weird.
so close friends. I buy that, them becoming friends. That was kind of funny. But the triangle didn't work. And
No.
please don't write comedy jokes when you can't do comedy.
Yeah.
Because none
And
of what he was saying was
no,
funny,
no. And
unfortunately.
yeah. And I could not understand what he even liked about this woman. I just thought she was rude and
Yeah.
unsupportive
She
and
never gave him a chance.
no. And
Like,
she never was like as supportive of his career or his dreams or what he was doing.
not only that, but she finally gets her dream man and she's tired of him and she wants to throw him away too. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, come on, lady. I do think the first 20 minutes of this movie works.
Yeah.
And then it just goes downhill. And that was so disappointing.
But I think that's
So
what
I
part of
get
the
you.
reason why I was so disappointed because the premise had so much
So
potential
much
and the
potential.
setup even that it was like, oh,
Yeah, I was
this
like,
is gonna
oh.
be like, I don't know, Encino Man or Mannequin or some of these like I felt like, oh, this is gonna have a vintage appeal to it of the rom-coms from the 80s, kind of a feel. But
Yeah,
boy, it fell flat for me, that's for sure.
yeah. It
Yeah.
is kind of disappointing.
Ho, ho, ho! We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind the scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Well, what do you have at 11?
My 11 is Love at Look Lodge.
Oh yeah,
I
that
think
one
that's
was
the
pretty
Hallmark
bad.
title. That came out in 2020. I think this one's a forgotten one. Um, it's basically about a terrible brother who goes to a lodge where his sister is getting married. And he's the worst, and he's a busybody, with business. And this poor girl who works at the lodge. I mean, this woman she is going out of her way to please all these like white people. And I'm like, girl, just don't bother.
Oh
These people
yeah,
are not
that
worth
one.
it.
I
There's
forgot
no
about that one.
chemistry. Yeah, I mean, like, come on, there's no chemistry. The acting isn't great. The movie doesn't look that great. I mean, they're like walking around. Look at these beautiful woods. I was like, I see a couple of trees and a path. It ain't that great. Um, so it's not great.
No.
And it's boring.
Yeah,
And
that
that's
one.
probably its worst crime. It's boring.
Yeah. Well, you know what's bad if we still all thought it was bad, even during the pandemic, because we were very forgiving for
Yes,
any
very
entertainment that we
forgiving.
got
Yeah.
during that year. We were very kind. But yeah, that was bad. That was bad.
It was bad.
um,
You know,
yeah.
it was probably too why they were so outside and everything is probably because they had some type of restrictions in filming. I'm not sure if they filmed it pre-pandemic or not, but it just feels like a pandemic movie
Yeah.
and that
Mhm.
it's like hollow and empty.
Well, my number 10 uh, is there. Well, I guess they did one this year. I was gonna say the only attempt to do an Easter movie, but they tried one this year. This Easter Under Wraps, and this movie is terrible.
I still haven't seen this one.
Oh, you haven't?
I actually haven't
so
seen this one.
bad.
No, I keep meaning to. Every time Easter comes around, I'm like, I'll watch it because there's not enough Easter movies, and I never get to it.
Well, so it's this whole undercover boss kind of plot where she is like the daughter of the this is like a relatively small chocolate company, with like a handful of employees or whatever. She goes undercover to see what's going on in the plant, and the whole time too there's Brendan Penny's character is like trying to like pitch this like giant chocolate egg thing and that they're gonna like save the company by everybody wanting to buy these like giant chocolate eggs, which like nobody would buy.
Oh, no.
I mean, what? And like the idea that in this relatively small company that you wouldn't recognize the the boss's daughter who's like involved in the company and like an active employee basically, that he would have no idea who this person is, that he would never figure it out, that nobody else working there is absurd and ridiculous. And they didn't really have, aside from the giant chocolate egg, they didn't really have much fun with sort of the tropes of the holiday.
Right.
Like if I were writing an Easter movie, I would have like some kind of proposal that occurs in an Easter egg that's hidden, right?
Right.
And
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
finds the ring. And like this couple obviously wasn't, but like you'd have to write it differently. But I am just saying that like use the tropes of this holiday to tell a romantic story, and they didn't.
And that's a shame too, because we don't get a lot of Easter movies.
It was just this work story and this ridiculous undercover boss, and it was really
and a giant chocolate egg.
Yeah, a giant chocolate
How
egg.
original!
Save the company.
A giant chocolate egg.
These giant eggs that I think like 2 people in the world would buy. They were acting like they were the Fabergé
were they hollow
eggs,
or they were all Fabergé?
No, they were like. I mean, they were just acting these just amazing like idea. And I can't remember if they were hollow or not. I can't remember, but it was bad.
And because like a hollow I could get.
I just don't think it would save the company.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think they'd become like
there's a lot of chocolate eggs out there.
The new Hershey's, or something. I don't know. But it was bad. But yeah, I think that if I was going to do some kind of version of an Easter movie, I would involve hunt of some kind. That would just seems like that would work really good.
Yeah.
Have hunt. But yeah, it was very bad. What do you have at 10?
My number 10 goes to this year. And what a way to kick off Hallmark's movies for 2023. A movie based on a guide for dogs. The Dog Lover's Guide to Dating.
It was bad. It was really bad.
Listen, the minute she cooked a full-blown meal for that dog, I was like, okay, people are like that. And she cries because this guy wants to take her out for like a burger, and she's got to eat a burger. I'm like, no,
she had like a full-blown eating disorder as her like quirky attribute. Like she was like, I can't believe I ate a sandwich. Like what?
Yeah, I was like, oh, isn't that so quirky? I was like, no, lady, can I call help for you?
Yeah.
Like I'm all for
so weird.
I don't care that you're healthy or you're on a health kick, but I think you need to eat more than like those protein bars, that she was eating. Like I couldn't believe it.
That was so weird. What were they thinking?
So this whole, I don't think she was great either. She wasn't good.
No.
And the supporting cast of dogs were cute and stuff like that, but it was just so bizarre. And like this guy he's trying so hard, and this girl does not care about her dog or anything like that. and he, like, I thought Corey Seaver was kind of good in it. Like he was trying to do his best in it.
Yeah.
But man, what a failure. What a weird way to start off 2023. You're all excited. You're done with Christmas and you watch this movie.
Yeah. And it wasn't even like remotely wintry at all. like at all,
No,
or
no.
New
But then
Year's
again,
or
they got
anything.
rid of the Winterfest logo. It's new
Yeah.
movies, new year.
I mean, it
'cause
wasn't New Year's like at all.
it wasn't
Uh,
anything. No, it's
it
just
was
basically
bad.
a summer movie. Really,
Yeah. Yeah, that one was really bad. Well, my number
can't believe
nine
it
is
started the year
one.
that way.
My number nine is one that I know a lot of people really enjoyed. And I'm famous for not enjoying it. It is Yes, I Do, is my number nine. I'm kind of not a big fan of the wedding movies in general, and to have
Yeah,
this woman, uh, I mean, I know they were trying to do like Runaway Bride or whatever, but that she
exactly.
kept
Yeah,
leaving him at the altar because of this like psychosomatic fear of weddings,
right.
when there's no reason why you have to have a wedding. If I mean, if he really did love her, he would want her to be happy, and so he would have her have they would just get married. There's no world where you would go through this 4 times. It
I
was
know, and yeah,
ridiculous. And you're supposed to like be rooting for this couple even though she kept doing this. And they had it I mean, it was bizarre. Like it felt like he should be with the Jessica Lounge's character, not with our lead character. um and I know some people like it because they say it's kind of over the top screwball comedy, but it
yeah.
certainly wasn't funny enough for me to like it on that level. And I just found the whole premise so like off-putting and annoying, and these two should not be getting married. That was not a happy ending for this story.
Yeah, I actually do. I do like this movie, and because it is just so bizarre. I agree, though. It's not a healthy relationship. Like she's left. It's not even like I don't like the Runaway Bride because I think all those characters are unlikable. But at
Yeah.
least she had 3 different engagements. She's left this man 3 times at the
Yeah.
altar. I think it should be done, and I do think that this is the best Jessica Lowndes Hallmark movie because she's just like kind of mean girlish.
Yeah.
And I just think I love her in those type of roles. I think she's much better suited in that kind of role.
Hmm.
And I thought she was fun. And when had the allergic reaction to the chocolate because she was a baker, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that was
And
funny.
but I get though why people would think this ain't for me. I
Yeah.
think I have one of those on my list too. I can
Mhm.
get why it's not universally loved because it is kind of problematic.
It needed
But
to be funnier if
right.
for me to kind of accept it on that screwball level. I needed to laugh more, and I just didn't laugh enough. And so then I was just like, this is really uncomfortable. And I was just I just hated the whole premise. It was pretty much
Yeah.
unsalvageable for me from the very beginning. So
I
uh
will say though, for anybody who wants a thirst trap moment, for almost,
oh
I
yeah.
mean, this is probably half a minute or whatever. Marcus Rosner is shirtless, putting on a
And
shirt,
I
opening the door. So
and
bless you. Maybe a full
and
minute.
Christy Will Wolf told us that she did that
Yeah.
for us. So we can get some
Yes.
credit
Thank
for
you.
that.
Thank you.
Because we had said we
I
wanted the Firehouse
I very
movie.
much appreciate
For
it. Yeah.
that was a big thing in the early part of our show, was that we would
Yes.
joke that we wanted our dream Firehouse
Yes.
movie.
Yes. I mean, yeah. So thank you. I appreciate that. Like, so if you want your thirst trap moments, there's one.
Yeah, that's true. And I was happy for Marcus. I think that made it. I was really,
Yeah,
really,
this was his
really
first.
hyped for
Yeah.
this
Right.
because
This was like his first good guy,
yeah,
sort of,
it's his
because
first
he
lead.
also played a lot of bad boyfriends.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you have at 9?
Love in the Sun.
Yeah, that one's bad.
Which is from 2019. Oh boy, this movie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be nice here, but there is dead in the eye acting throughout this entire movie.
Yeah.
And I think the Sean Christian plays her father. I actually think he's good. He helped write this movie or come up with the idea of it, the plot of it. And he knows his stuff. He's from soaps. So I didn't think he was bad, but the two leads have no chemistry.
Yeah.
it's painful to watch them together. I mean, I want to be nice, because it's not that bad. I mean, here's another thing too, which I hate, a trope. She is perfectly content in her life, in her work, in her business. She goes home to visit her dad, and he runs some kind of inn, right?
Yeah.
And she meets her high school ex-boyfriend or something like that. And that's when she realizes, I hate my life. My life is miserable. I don't feel content. I don't feel complete. Yes, you do. You are perfectly happy. You know, sacrificing stuff for a high school boyfriend that you had at like 15, 16, it is not realistic.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Yeah.
going to say 8 out of 10 people do not do that in life, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you can have kind of a come to Jesus moment, you know, where you realize that,
Sure.
I'm on the wrong track. I can
Yeah.
understand that, but we have to
But
be
not
like
in this
way
movie.
more into the couple in order to buy that and feel it. You
Yeah.
know, we have to be like, oh, I love these people so much that whatever she has to do, she should do.
Sure, but it's just,
Yeah,
it's bad.
it's
And
the
I was
chemistry. I have
surprised
it
too, 'cause
pretty low on
yeah,
my list as well. It was
it's just like, ugh.
very bad acting.
Yeah, I think
To
that's
be
what killed
there.
it, because it's not bad looking. It was directed by Rich Newey, and he did Crashing Through the Snow and last year's Ghost of Christmas.
Oh, always, yeah.
Oh, the one with the it's not, it's, is it Ghost of Christmas where they're the ghosts who do the Dickens
Yeah, yeah.
stuff?
Ghost of Christmas
Yeah,
Always, I think.
that's it,
Yeah.
Ghost of Christmas Always.
Yeah.
And he directed those, and those are fun movies.
Yeah, those are
But
good.
this one's flat because it's painful to look
Yeah,
at these
it
two.
is.
I mean, they're pretty though. So when they're walking on the beach,
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
wind blowing, that frolicking hair, and him shirtless, and they're sun-kissed. They're very pretty to look at.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very sorry to those people.
Yeah.
You made a movie. I apologize.
Exactly. Well, my number
It's not
8
great.
is just barely. It's just a couple of weeks old, but it managed to cement its way up into my worst of list, and it's a safari romance. I
Oh,
like Brittany. I like Andrew. I as people, as humans, they're really nice, but I did not think that their performances were very good in this. I thought the plot was absolutely terrible. Everything with the drones, his boss was just the most cringe character that was like, her behavior made no sense. Like, even as a self-interested, selfish person, her 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 behavior made no sense. And yeah, sure, there's like animals that are impressive, but I would just rather watch a nature documentary if I just want to watch animals and not be subjected to this absolutely terrible film. I
oh man.
really thought it was bad.
I have not yet seen this. I am so close to being caught up, for this year with the Hallmarks. I'm watching this one tonight if I have the time.
Okay,
But
well,
like,
you'll have to message me, and I'm sorry if I
it is not a sequel,
prejudice
right?
you
Yeah.
in advance against it. I don't mean to. Maybe
It's
you'll
it's
like
not a
it.
sequel. Yeah, it's not a sequel to Lacey's, right?
No, no, no.
See, I keep forgetting it's not a sequel, because I'm like, oh, Brittany Bristow was in that one too
Yeah,
as a
that's
ranger.
true.
And
Yeah,
so,
and it's Brittany's parents writing, directing. So I hate to.
it does. Do
It
they
just
do a
wasn't
lot
for
with the
me.
location? Do
It
they do a
maybe
lot
other
with the
people enjoy
location
it.
though?
What's that?
Do they do a lot with the location, because they filmed in Africa, right? Or I don't know
There
where in
are
Africa they
some
filmed,
nice
but
scenes with the animals. There's but the ending, I hated the ending. We'll see
well,
what you think. Yeah,
I'm
let
looking
us
forward to
know.
this one now. I'm almost now. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
In a weird way, I'm really looking forward to it now.
Well, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is Where Your Heart Belongs from
Yeah,
2022. It's Jen Lilly's
very
last
bad.
Hallmark movie. And man, what a whimper to go out on.
Yeah, it was a
I don't
bad
know if she'll
one.
ever come back. She might, who knows, but it's just boring, and like the geography makes no sense. You see the house, right? And then they're like, let's go to the trees, the maple syrup trees or whatever. And they're in a park. Those are maple syrup trees. They're in an actual park. There are steps you would see in a park where you have to walk down the steps to go to another place of the park. It's a park. And when you look at when they filmed the house, this is a weird trip to hate this movie. It matches. It's your house is it's not your those trees are not in your backyard. And then there's the whole I manage this music and
I mean,
there's
the
not
biggest problem with this movie is that she's a terrible friend
boring.
and a
Oh my
terrible
gosh,
person.
yes.
Like all she cares
What she does
about
at
is
her
the
friend's
social
wedding.
media presence that she's going to get from her friend's wedding. She doesn't even care what her friend wants. Or
No, she is a terrible friend, terrible with the wedding. And then it's the last minute. I'm terrible. I was like, really? He's not that great either, but like, man.
I mean,
And
generally
she's so
is
angry
yeah.
about him possibly taking over a business that she doesn't want. It's
generally is inherently likable. I think she has like an inherently
yes, she
likable
is.
presence.
Yeah.
So you have to go out of your way to make her into this character that was just such a jerk. She was terrible.
Exactly.
Like
she was terrible. She was terrible. And I can't even say this movie looks that great either. Besides, like, oh my God, harping on the geography of it all is like, come on, these movies are movies. They have a budget, but like, I was like, you're in a park. You're in a park. I couldn't get over it. But they tried.
I have 30. I mean, I have 22 films on my short list for non-Christmas, and I have 4 of those with Jen Lilly. Sorry, Jen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She's a super nice person. Lovely. But yeah.
Not everything works. Yeah.
What are you gonna do? All right. Well, my number 7 is one that I bet everybody's forgotten about, but I wish I could forget it. It is from Candace Cameron Bure. It's Just the Way You Are. And I was intrigued about this because it's about a married couple and them struggling in their marriage. But boy, it really rang flat for me. Their big solution to helping their marriage is basically like going on expensive dates. There's literally a scene where they helicopter into this lake so that they can go on a date. And it is the most like white privilege, like gross movie that I think I've ever seen. I mean, it was like there was nothing about like actually dealing with the relationship. It was all about like how much like time and money can we spend on each other. And I was just I was really pretty grossed out by it. And I don't think there was like great chemistry and the stuff with the kids. I can't remember exactly, but it was really bad. And I was hoping it would be, something kind of different, and Candace being a mom, that she could bring something interesting to it, but it was a privileged movie if I've ever seen one.
It's funny because this is the only CCB Hallmark movie I've never seen. I've seen all her others save for this one.
Yeah. Good choice.
I thought it was different because she doesn't really do a lot of, at least for her Hallmark movies, a lot of like where she's married and they're working on their relationship. But it's kind of disappointing that spending money is the way that you save your marriage.
Yeah. Like I said, there's literally a scene where they're helicoptered in to this lake. And it was really bad. And so, that's my number 7. What do you have at 7?
Okay, so my number 7 is Romance in the Air.
Yeah, that one's really bad.
Where do I start? Cindy Buzzy needs a new agent. This one's from 2020, also the year everybody was locked in. But even this I couldn't forget. Oh my gosh.
How the fact they switch partners at the end. Her and her.
Oh my God. Oh my, yeah. This is another one where like I got a relationship, but I really like this dude that I'm flirting with. And he runs a balloon business.
Well, literally
at
the end, they're like, hey, why don't you go out with him? I used to go out with him.
Exactly. They're like, hey, how about you? Like nothing. Like, hey, here we go. But oh man, this movie just doesn't work for me on any level. That stuff. The balloon stuff is like, oh. Hallmark doesn't do a lot of balloon movies, but when they do, man, get ready to have a good chuckle at that CGI. But yeah, it just doesn't fundamentally work for me. I found it a little boring. There's just, it's like they just don't care the way they switch partners at the end. It's
Yeah.
like so nonchalant. Um, I don't think
It's
there's enough
really bad.
chemistry. And poor, I'll be honest with you though, I didn't do it a lot. I could have had more Cindy Busby movies, but I was like, well, this is competently made, and only like a certain things didn't work for me. But like, honey, get yourself a new agent or whatever.
Yeah, or just don't accept everything. Be a little
Yeah.
choosier.
I'm sorry to you, Cindy Busby. You're probably a wonderful person.
She is the
Could
sweetest.
you imagine she listens to this and she rages? How dare you?
She's been very kind to us, and
I'm
I
so
enjoy
sorry.
it. Like Royal Hearts, I really like. I like Royal
Yeah,
Hearts.
I mean,
the
it's
first
not all
Darcy
of her
movie.
Hallmark movies, but like the last couple of years, she hasn't had the strongest of the Hallmark films. And we know she's got it in her because she's had some great ones.
Yeah.
Today's episode of the podcast is sponsored by W Rated, the podcast where we willingly watch the world's worst rated movies. Join me, Daisy,
and me, Claire, as we break down the IMDb Bottom 100, choosing a different film from the list every episode.
We take a deep dive into the plot, production, release, and reviews, usually with a special guest, to uncover if these films are truly as bad as everyone says they are.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, and anywhere else you find your podcasts.
All right. Well, my number 6 is one one of these days I need to do this with Haley Strong, because we talk about the ones that are like reality dating or ones. And this is Love in Winterland is my number 6. If there was ever an example of somebody sleepwalking through one of these movies, it's Chad Michael Murray, particularly in this one. I think at the last bunch, he felt very like phoning it in to me.
Yeah.
And especially in this one. And it just,
I mean, that's a lot of his movies.
yeah, but especially this one. I mean, not only like no chemistry, but she had more chemistry with Jack Turner, who's and
this.
And
Yeah,
the whole idea that they're filming this reality show without a single piece of lighting, without a single piece of sound equipment. Like, I mean, I can suspend disbelief. I understand that these are Hallmark movies and things, but come on. I mean, this was the weakest movie within a movie, a show within a movie I have ever seen. I mean, you don't have one boom mic, not one.
Oh, wow. I've only ever seen like the first 10 minutes of this movie. I've never finished it.
It's
so bad. I can't attest to it, but like, oh wow. Like,
yeah, and they're like no chemistry at all. But it wasn't Natalia's fault. It was just the fact that Chad Michael Murray was just, I think, collecting his paycheck that week, which we all do it from time to time with our jobs. But yeah, this one was, I thought, unusually bad.
Yeah,
it was really bad. What do you have at 6?
Well, my 6 is the title of this movie did it in. It's Amazing Winter Romance, also from 2020. Man, for a movie called Amazing, I will say this: the snow looks pretty.
Yeah,
the snow looks pretty, but man, it's so. It's just boring, I think, is its most crime. And the title does not help. It's a terrible title as well.
It is.
And it's like, what does that have anything to do with snow mazes or anything like that you're doing in this movie? Yeah. It's just,
it's on my list.
Not
so
great. Yeah. Everybody, I feel bad. Everybody looked windburned too, because they're outside.
Yeah.
And they all look like what we would look like, right? You don't think you're going to look like that in a movie.
Yeah.
But no.
Terrible. Well, my number 5 is Francesca Quinn, PI. I don't think
girl, you put it that low.
I do. I think this should not have been released. I don't think it was finished. It was one of the sloppiest movies I've like ever seen. The
messy.
the clues, the trying to be this like super gritty tone did not work at all.
Nope.
The whole thing with Tal Rothery and her being the serial killer, and I mean, I'm going back, but it really did not feel finished. It was extremely messy as far as production, and it was just terrible.
It looks terrible too. Everyone is so severe. They're so severely dressed. They're so severely done up with their hairstyles and makeup. They're trying to act so tough. I think maybe it's just because they were editing what they could, but
it felt like they took a whole season. Like they took a whole season of scripts and combined them into one, because it kept going off on all these different tangents.
Yeah. And I have a theory that narration was added later because nobody could understand what was going on. Because at one minute you're like, he was my fiance, and then he's not my fiance, but he's my fiance again. And I was like, what is going on here? I will say there is one good moment in this movie, and it's when she is chasing a suspect that she's got to question. And he looks at her, and he has fish in his hands, right? Because he's a fisherman. And he flings the fish right at her face and runs for it. Had me howling. I was like, did he just throw fish at her and run? So if you're going to watch it, I wouldn't just watch that scene, because it is so messy. That is a fun scene. Movie does not flow.
No.
And it's got too many moving parts that they try to join together. The narration actually makes it worse.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, so you're no longer engaged to this person, but now, okay, but you were engaged. Now you're not engaged, but you're engaged again after all these years.
Well, and like her fiance dies, but she doesn't seem like sad at all that her fiance died. And exactly, she was going to break up with him, but just because you were like going to break up with him doesn't mean you want them dead. Like, you would still be sad because it was a person that was in your life. Like, you'd still be sad. And then they're trying to like start off this kind of relationship with the guy, and she's this not widow, but fiancéed.
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't care because she's got her partner or whatever. I was like, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, and then
and then they break up and they get back together.
Back to Terrell Rothery's character.
Yeah, they don't explain too, because at one moment you go, we were engaged, and then the next scene is like they haven't seen each other for years, and I was like, what is the time scope of this movie? Yeah. How long does it pass? It's too crammed in. The best I can explain for this movie is it is an incomplete thought.
Yeah, I just don't think it was finished. I think they released it.
I don't.
And it wasn't finished.
Why? It's terrible. It's terrible. And I don't think we'll ever get to see anything from this again.
No, absolutely not. And I think they were just desperate for content, and it wasn't finished, but they released it anyway, and we had to pay the price. Yeah, for how terrible. But what do you have at 5?
My 5 is Beverly Hills Wedding.
Yeah, that one was low for me as well.
This is, if you want to watch a movie about ungrateful people, this is the movie for you. Like, okay, Brooke Dorsey plays, she kind of like, she gets into this contest. So her friends, or was that her sister? I can't remember. To get like to plan a wedding of your dreams.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something, honey, you're on a reality show. You won this. It might not be exactly the wedding you dreamed of. Oh, I'm sorry you can't get married in a barn in your pajamas. But you have this, like, these wedding planners are going out of their way to make this such a beautiful, wedding, but they all have to learn the lesson of like, we gotta, and it's just so heavy-handed. And Brooke Dorsey plays a terrible person who doesn't really listen. And the movie says she's terrible because she doesn't listen to anybody. There's no chemistry between her and Brendan Penny.
Mm-mm.
It's just like, it's so bad. These people are like
really bad.
And I was like, one of the wedding planners need to learn. Like they shoehorn so many things. Like, oh, we got to work on our marriage and learn a lesson. I was like, why? What did you do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. It's weird.
Yeah, the idea that she would make her sister go through this when she doesn't want to. It's
exactly.
It's
that is also like, but I almost feel like it didn't have to be like 100% as fancy as you wanted, but I almost feel like her sister was, yes, she was being, run over by Brooke Diorcy and stuff. But I almost feel, and maybe that's just me, like she was just a tad bit ungrateful. Like
Yeah.
I could suck up a few things here and there because I would be happy that I was getting a free wedding.
Right.
I'd probably forgive a lot for a free wedding.
I mean, No, I mean, I agree.
But
it's just a terrible idea for a story. It's a terrible plot.
Another reality sort of show that doesn't exactly work well.
No.
Well,
my number 4, you already mentioned it, Amazing Winter Romance. I mean, the idea that these two women would be fighting over this bland milquetoast guy that had like nothing really going for him. It wasn't like he was like super rich or super, talented or super whatever. Like he was just like a normal guy. Like what? Why are
he just
they
plows the snow?
Cat fighting over this guy? Like
and his mate. Look at the amazing designs they made. Like, how do we make this snow maze nicer? Let's add lamps. Like, it was like, okay, that's all you're gonna do?
Yeah.
Let's add lights. I'm sorry, like lights. I was like, that's all you're gonna do to attract people? Like, isn't he great? He makes mazes. I was like, all right.
It was so painful. I just could not stand that whole cat fighting element of it. I mean, I love Jessie. Yeah. She's a favorite. But this Marshall Williams, he has been in a lot of turkeys.
Yeah. But guys, if you want to watch him have fun, there's a Lifetime movie. What's the one where he plays the prince? Isn't that him? No, is that Marshall Lewis who plays the prince who kills people in that Lifetime movie?
Oh no, that's
no, that's not.
Jonathan
I'm sorry, I'm confusing him with the other movie. Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry.
No,
they look similar to me,
they do.
But they're not the same person.
This one was just a terrible story, and I mean, maybe if they had made him like more of a, I don't know, worship worthy guy. Like again, he's perfect. There's nothing wrong with him, but I'm just saying that like if he was a movie star or an athlete or just something that like people are gonna like people are gonna kind of throw themselves at this type of person, right?
Exactly.
Then it might have made more sense, but for them to just be like, he designs mazes, so we're gonna fight over him. Like, oh, it's awful.
Exactly. Like he's a kid. I hate because it does to that character no justice.
No,
there's no justice for him. That title really did that movie into.
Yeah, it was bad. All right, what do you have at 4?
Oh boy, my number 4 is from not too long ago, 2021. It is Warming Up to You. Again with Cindy Busby and Christopher Russell. Oh man, I really do hate this movie. And I don't think the premise of it is wrong. He is an actor who's, got dumped. He's going through the dumps. He's put on some weight. And he has to go essentially to, I don't want to say a fat camp, but in all essence, that's what it is, to lose some weight and actually get in shape for this new superhero role that he's playing. Totally understand, because that happens with actors all the time especially with these superhero movies.
But we should add that his belly was so bad and badly done.
The way they made him look was he had to look funny, basically.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was like right out of like,
you know what? He kind of looked like he had a pregnant belly. Yeah, he kind of looked like he had a pregnant belly. But also, like Cindy Busby, she plays her trainer. I do think some of the messaging in this movie was poor about how to lose weight, about weight in general, and like, my mother died of cancer. No, hold on. She's like, my mother died of cancer or whatever. That's why I'm so nutrition. And you're like, okay, that plays a part in it as well. But if you don't follow a strict diet, you could still get cancer in any way. My mother was a pretty healthy person. She got cancer. Right. I mean, it can happen. And I just think it's weird messaging mixed into some kind of romance about people who don't like each other. And I just think it's just weird.
Yeah. Well,
It's weird and there's no chemistry. I mean, it's funny because they've done movies together before, which I thought they were good paired in.
yeah.
It's just this movie did not win me over.
Yeah, I know it was bad. Wendy Stewart, who wrote it, Wendy
Yes.
Stewart wrote it, and she did the Well Suited for Christmas, which I loved
Right. She's
last
done a
year.
couple of
So
Lifetime movie
she
Christmas
has
movies
some
too.
good writing, but
Yeah.
this, it
This
felt
one
like
just
somebody who
didn't-
had never actually lost weight or been on a
or
diet.
struggled with it. It was a little
Yeah.
too preachy, too, like, oh, natural, this and that. I've got nothing against that. I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, it's too health conscious. Not at all. Not at all. I just don't think they went about it in a
'Cause
good way.
it would be one thing if there was like a specific role and he had to lose a lot of weight quickly, and then I think it would be even more extreme than what they were doing. But they were acting like these were they were acting like these were reasonable lifestyle changes, when like not eating
Exactly.
pizza is not a reasonable life
Oh my gosh,
change.
like you're throwing your life away by eating nothing but pizza. And I was like, he
Yeah.
can have a pizza once in a while. Obviously, he's in a regimen to lose this weight. No, I just think it was too extreme in both directions. I don't think it is actually, I don't think I was like, has anybody dealt with weight issues or even going on a diet or
'Cause there
having
are
to lose weight fastly,
Yeah, because there are people
There's
who do
pros and
like the
cons.
cayenne pepper and celery, diet to lose
Right.
like a lot of weight really fast and you gain it all back, but it's for a specific role. If it had been something
Oh my
like
gosh,
that,
and how
I
she
could
was,
have I could have seen that. But they were acting like these were like reasonable lifestyle changes, when in reality, like what would have been a reasonable lifestyle change is be like, okay, we're only gonna have one piece of pizza, or we're gonna have
Exactly.
pizza with vegetables and maybe not pepperoni or something like that. Because the truth is about food is that there are no bad foods. There's just food, and it depends on how much you eat, and
It is your choices. Yeah.
and your choices. And if there's no food that you can't have a little bit of and or even a lot and be fine. It's all about how it all comes together for your whole
Portion
entire
control too.
your whole entire diet. I mean, if you had one day where all you ate is, something, all you had is desserts one day, it's still only one day. So it's all
Right.
about how you balance it out as a total, and how you feel. And so there's all those things that they could have been talking about, but instead it was all about like, you're a bad person because you ate pizza.
Exactly. Or she chastises him about smoothies and bananas too. And the type of exercising that he's got to do to get in shape. He's riding a bike and jogging. Okay.
Yeah.
But he's doing a superhero movie. He's not lifting weights. He's not doing anything else, like there's more involved than just a couple of sit-ups and yoga or whatever like that. You could do all of that, when your weight loss journey or when you're exercising and stuff like that, of course. But the type of exercise too didn't match with like how quickly he had to lose that stuff to, oh my gosh, I can't believe he looked ridiculous.
Yeah,
it
was bad. Well, my
was
number 3 is another one, Christopher Russell. It's Love Unleashed. This the main problem I have with this movie is that her character is just too stupid for me. I just couldn't. I mean, the fact that she doesn't understand that she's running a business when she has like full on merch and is like in a doing these dog parties, and that she wouldn't understand, just because you have a not-for-profit component doesn't make it not a business. Like it's still, and the fact that she would be like insulted and angry that the city is stepping in, especially when you have dogs that need to have the proper care and treatment, to them, that she would be affronted by that is just, it's just too much. It's too stupid. I can't deal with it. And it was a terrible, terrible movie. The dogs are cute, but you can only go so far.
It's funny too, because this movie doesn't bother me that much. I agree on your points though, but overall I don't like it. But they worked so much better together in this movie than the one where your heart belongs.
Yeah,
because they're paired up again for that one, and it's still like a vast difference too.
Yeah,
but the dog. I'm not a dog person, but the dog sold it for me, I guess. I
They're
suppose
cute.
I'm not
I
as
just
a,
was just like,
no,
you can't be this stupid. Like, you're an
it's
adult
true.
running
She
a
is.
business with merch. Like, it is like, how can you? I don't know. And so it was
Yeah,
just,
I
I
agree.
just,
Yeah, not great.
but it's
Not
it's a competitive field. The generally movies.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
You have
Yeah,
for
I get
three.
it. So my number 3 is a recent one from this year.
Uh-huh.
It is a forgotten one. It was dumped on the streaming service, but it did air on Hallmark. It's probably the only one that had the prominent advertising or whatever. It is the first movie in the Love Club series, Nicole's Pen Pal, or Love Club
Bad, huh?
Nicole, as it's known in Canada.
Which one was
This
that? I
movie
didn't see
is-
these.
Unhinged. This movie is particularly unhinged. These women. Okay, so it all
Yeah.
basically starts on a New Year's Eve. They all start in the same. All 4 movies start in the same place in the New Year's Eve party. You just see it from everybody's different perspective. They all basically have relationship problems, or they get dumped, and they start the love club where they talk about it with each other. Flash forward 10 years. So Brittany Bristow plays Nicole, and she's getting engaged. She's a successful interior designer. She's getting engaged. She says yes. Now, you could tell this guy isn't bad, but you could tell he's not the one for her, right? But he's not a bad boyfriend. He's only a bad boyfriend because he doesn't like, to sit outside or something like that. Stupid reasons. All these women need desperate therapy, Rachel. And the relationships they portray in these movies are not healthy. She starts talking about her dream man, the one she's always longed for, was an anonymous pen pal she had in an English class in college. So her fellow unhinged friends Google and find out that it's Marcus Rosner, and he runs an inn in this town. And she's like, I have got to find out if he's the love of my life. I was like, excuse me, what's going on here? Why are you stalking this man? She pretends to be another interior designer coming over to the inn to help him sort of remodel it so the inn can get some business. He doesn't own it, but he works there and all this other stuff. So he doesn't think he thinks she's another person. And she's trying to suss out whether he wrote these letters or not. Eventually, he finds out the deal that she is who they were. And he's kind of forgiving about that. I was like, wow, you're very forgiving of this lady who's stalking you. But he has a secret that he did not write those letters. They were pen pals, but he thought, what did he have? He had some kind of learning disability where he couldn't, I can't remember which learning disability, where he can't read and write or whatever like that. And he had trouble forming that. So
dyslexic, kind of.
Just like, that's it. I'm sorry. Yeah, I couldn't remember. He's dyslexic, and he hired a fellow guy to write these letters.
Oh my gosh.
So he doesn't want her to, but she goes, oh, I want to meet him, the
Were
guy
they trying to
write these letters.
Exactly. Do Cyrano,
so
kind
of? Not successfully. Almost. I think the idea is there. But check this out, Rachel. When he confesses the truth to her, and now he knows that she's stalking him and pretending to be somebody else, she's upset with him for lying. I want to meet the man who wrote these letters. So he goes to the local massage therapist guy, and he pays him to pretend to be that guy so he can control the narrative and she can stay. And he's like this guy, like he's a ladies' man. He's got this aromatherapy, and he's stalking them now on their dates. The truth comes out. She is so upset that he lied to her. I was like, lady, you were like, by the way, she's still engaged. You see her talk to her fiance and she never tells him anything. When she gets home, finally her friends find out who the real guy that he paid to write the letters with. She rushes over to his house. She's upset because it didn't work out with Marcus Rosner, but she wants this one last trip to really see if this guy who wrote the letters is not the man for her. Okay. This is like over 10 years ago. Rachel, guess what this man is? He turns out to be gay. And I screamed. And I was like, you did not do this in already an unhinged movie. Okay. At the end, she decides to forgive Marcus Rosner and they get together and they're like, we're in love. Oh, wait, I got to break up with my fiance. She never tells him he's engaged, though. He knows the truth about her stalking him and looking for this, pen pal guy, but he never knows she's engaged. And she just dumps this guy because she finally remembers she's got to dump him and then ends up with Marcus Rosner. And I was like, this is unhinged. They did not use oh, I'm gay. This is my husband. I was like, how dare you in this movie?
Wow.
It is so ridiculous. It is unhinged. This is not a romance. Is it whimsical and funny? No, you need therapy. You know what this movie is? Because I watch a lot of Discovery ID. I watch a lot of true crime. This is the beginning of a Discovery ID documentary.
Yeah.
How they eventually kill each other. Unhinged. And
I have to watch it, I feel like.
Unhinged. Like all these Love Club movies are on Hallmark Movies now available. They all did premiere very quietly on Hallmark Channel this year. So they did premiere on the channel. But they are unhinged and they show the most unhealthiest relationships.
That's too bad because I was hoping they would be kind of the alternate to The Wedding Veil, which I found very, very bland and underwhelming. Yeah. And it sounds like they weren't.
The only thing that they do better than The Wedding Plan is for each film, they integrate the friends are more, they play more of a role in each other's movies than like the Wedding Planner movies where, they pop up for like a scene or two or they're talking on the phone. They're much more like they'll drop everything in their lives to go help their friends, get over a boyfriend who dumped her like for 10 years or pretend like the last movie ropes a guy in just to please her mother. She fakes an engagement. Then she's like, we really got to get married. And this guy was like, why would this guy really want to marry? They are unhinged, Rachel. Unhinged. This is not how healthy relationships begin, start, continue. They need therapy.
Oh, now I feel like I definitely have to see it.
If you need to just, perhaps you will not feel as strongly as I do about this movie, but it is unhinged. The Love Club, Nicole's pen pal, is unhinged.
Well,
unhinged.
My number 2 is part of another iconic Hallmark series. It's Wedding March 2. What's it? Resorting to Love with a colon. I just, I don't love the bridezilla trope. It's very hard to pull off. And this woman was awful. I couldn't stand this bride. She was just the worst. And I didn't think that they should get married, her and Aaron Buchholz. And I didn't care about anything else going on with what is it? I forget their names, Olivia and Mick. I didn't care what was going on with them in the sequel, and but it's absolutely atrocious. I couldn't stand it.
This one's not that great. I have mixed feelings about the Wedding March series. I enjoyed how crazy they were or how bonkers they were, but I do think it starts well and ends well, but the ones in the middle, not great.
The third one is the one where he gives the promise ring, right?
That shook me. I was like, if you get
absolutely
if you're a member of you're an ARPP member, you can't give a promise ring. I'm sorry. If somebody, I am not married, I am over 40. And if I was in a relationship that was becoming
Yeah.
serious and he gave me a promise ring, I'd walk right out.
Yeah.
I'd walk right out. I couldn't take it. I'm
There
like,
would be words.
we are not 18, 20, whatever.
And she'd moved up there to live with him. Like, it's ridiculous.
They already committed. They're living together.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Bonkers.
But the
It's
second
bonkers.
one, I couldn't even have done fun with.
Yeah.
It was just unpleasant, and I just couldn't stand that bride so much. And
Definitely
so,
a mixed bag.
what do you have at 2?
My number 2 goes all the way back to 2014. It is based on a Mary Higgins Clark book. It's a mystery book. I'm sure Mary Higgins Clark was very angry at what they did. It is called My Gal Sunday.
Yeah,
It's
I've never seen it.
Rachel. Yeah, it stars Rachel Blanchard, and Jack Wagner plays her dad. Okay, so this movie differs very, because I've never read the book, but I think it's a series of short stories about ex-presidents, and they make him the ex-governor in this movie, a lawyer who's a private investigator. But it doesn't match the book at all. The acting is terrible. It looks terrible. Everyone looks like everyone. These are beautiful people that look like melting wax figures, like hot garbage. The film looks like they tilt the angles. The mystery is just so dumb. It has this speedy, fast sort of camera work and cinematography and these quick cuttings, and it's just like it's got 2 locations that they vary from back and forth, and it's ridiculous. It's so poorly acted. It's so poorly thought out. It's very easy to figure out the plot, but they don't put much effort into it, and it's a very stylized film, but not in a good way. And I do believe that this was a pilot movie of sorts. Like, I don't know if they wanted to do a potential series or just a series of films, but no.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen it, but it sounds legendary.
I could go on, but I won't, because I already went on too long for Nicole.
Well, everybody knows what the worst Hallmark movie is for me, and that is Home by Spring. From 2018. This I like to joke that it's secretly Hallmark's version of Get Out. What they do to the Kix Brooks character is basically the same thing.
Oh my gosh,
as what they do
yes.
in Get Out. The very first, when she decides to tell this lie about being her boss or whatever, and the very first thing that the client says to her is that I hate liars. So she'd have to be a complete moron to do what she does. I mean, and then she expects everybody in her town to go along with this, including and she tricks her mother, and her mother thinks that she's marrying this person, and she's upset, and her mom's like crying, and she doesn't even really care that her mom is upset. And what she's doing to her friends and family, she doesn't seem to really care that much. All she cares about is this ridiculous lie, if that it helps her career. No chemistry. It was just an absolutely terrible plot and a terrible movie. And I couldn't believe while I was watching it. Also, she has this ex who they had the most ridiculous product placement I have ever seen in a Hallmark movie.
It's a huge bottle.
He pulls out this giant bottle of Nature Made fish oil capsules, and he's like,
that is
hey,
all I remember this movie.
These are huge. Like, you would never need that big of a bottle for one trip, whatever. And he literally gives the pitch, and then when I was watching it on Hallmark, the next is that this program was brought to you by Nature Made. Yeah, I was like, no kidding.
Yeah, no kidding. You got a jumbo bottle up in there.
I mean, usually, they have the cringeworthy product placement, and I can usually just kind of smile, but very rarely do they actually have the characters doing the pitches. Usually it's just like, oh, I'm going to grab this giant Folgers can.
Off the shelf. Oh my gosh, those giant
like,
jugs of Folgers.
Like, they usually don't actually have them vocally saying the pitch. And so that was just so cringe. And this is just absolutely terrible movie.
I was going to add this onto my list, and I was like, for sure, I know Rachel will have it. But when I was really thinking about it, this is a movie I know I watched, but I have no memory of it. The only thing I remember is the giant bottle of fish oil. That is the only thing I can remember because he just pulls it out of the suitcase. This is a jumbo
Yeah, it's
bottle.
huge.
This is like the jumbo bottles you buy at like Costco's or
Costco,
PJ's,
yeah.
when you're shopping for the, bulky items. And it's like, that is the only thing I remember from this movie. And it makes me howl the memory, but like nothing else I can remember. Like it flew for, so I didn't think I should put it on my list because I couldn't remember it, but I know I didn't like it, but I just only remember the fish oil.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So there we have it. That's our worst list.
Oh wait, my number one though.
Oh yeah, sorry. So what's your number one?
We talked about my number one now. The worst thing Hallmark has ever made for me, Francesca Quinn, PI.
Oh
So,
yeah.
that is the
They
worst
should
for
not
me.
have released it. It was not releasable.
Like no, just say no.
Like at least something like Home by Spring, it's like a finished movie. It's terrible, but it looks like done, shot.
I know, but it was directed by the same person who did You're Baking Me Crazy, who directed that movie.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that I almost wonder if they filmed for a series or mini series or something, and then they just tried to like cobble it together into some kind of one movie.
It does have a lot of editing marks, and I think that's where the narration comes into to make it. I wonder if they tried to save something. I don't know.
It was absolutely terrible. I agree with you. So some of the patrons. Okay, so let's see. We've got some of our a brush with Becky Shopner says brush with love, Easter under wraps, and campfire kiss. And our friend Anne says a second chance at love, which was very bad. I agree with her on that one. That was very disappointing.
Campfire Kiss is the Danica McKellar one, right?
Yeah.
I was confusing that one. No, yeah, I agree.
And then Colleen, she has Where Your Heart Belongs, almost all the National Park movies, Romance in the Air, Aloha Heart, a little daytime drama, which also made my bottom list. Matching Hearts, that was very disappointing. You Had Me at Aloha, Feeling Butterflies, the Wedding Bell movies, My One and Only, Love Unleashed, Love in Winterland, and Fly Away with Me, a Maple Valley. Oh wait, that was Christmas. There we go, Baby It's Cold Inside, and Beverly Hills Wedding. Let's see here. Steve Hahn, he says Beverly Hills Wedding, Romance in the Air, Love in the Sun. He disagrees about Yes I Do. He says, I really liked this one, and I thought it was fun to use another established Hall star, Jessica Lowndes, as a more credible threat. Yeah. And then he has Mismatched, June and January, Love in the Forecast, In the Key of Love, The Art of Us, and Taste of Romance. Alicia Lomas Gross has The Fat Phobic, Warming Up to You. So some of it.
I actually did have Mismatched on my short list. But I decided not to go with it because I know a lot of people like those movies, that movie, but it just didn't work for me. So.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see that people didn't like the Beverly Hills Wedding one, because so many people were like, that's a good movie. What are you talking about? And I was like, oh, is it just me? Sometimes you feel it's just you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was very bad. It was very bad. Well, so there we go. That's our worst of non-Christmas list. Let us know what you would pick and what you think. Are you outraged? Put in the comments section or on Twitter. It's all in fun. But Terry, where can people find you?
At Twitter, at Flurry Heaven.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast. And if you were listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Most of our viewers on YouTube aren't subscribers. So if you're in that camp, please subscribe. It really helps the algorithm a lot. And if you want to be a part of our weekly ranking episodes, join the Patreon, and you get to be a part of these episodes. So please check that out. It's the biggest way you can support us and what we do. Have all the information in the description. And then we also have the merch store, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.